You've often said a retirement plan consists of more than just an IRA or a 401k statement, and that an individual or family should have an actual plan. Today, we are going to dive into why you feel like a retirement plan is so important, Chris. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, me too. There's so much that goes into retirement planning in general. I mean, while we're working, we're not really thinking about the retirement plan itself. We're working, things are being done automatically for us. A lot of times everything is on auto deduct out of our bank account from our paycheck. Our money goes to pay for our health insurance. It goes to pay for our little company life insurance if we have that. Our taxes are taken out automatically. We really don't have to do anything until April, and then we file our tax return. Well, in retirement, you have to kind of do all of that yourself. So you have to think about your income. You have to think about your withholdings. You have to think about how your investments are going to be structured. You have to think about your tax situation. What tax efficient strategies can I use? What am I, going to use for charitable giving? And then the estate part of it, when I'm gone, how much of that passes on, and how do I want it to pass on, and to whom do I want it to pass on? There's a lot of different things that go into actual retirement planning itself.
So I thought it was just, here's what I'm going to do when I retire, and, just have your final day at work and boom, you're retiring. No, there's a lot more that goes with that. So let's go ahead and have you tell us, what does a retirement plan consist of?
Yeah, so we like to follow the model. We've done a whole show on our right retirement process, but we need to look at retirement income. So a retirement plan consists of retirement income. Where are you going to be drawing income from? Is it guaranteed? Is it dividends, rental income? Am I going to have to pull out of an investment account? That's a whole retirement income section. And then we get into investment. So your retirement plan will consist of your investment mix, your diversification, how aggressive, what happens if we see a down market or a bear market. Think about those that retired in 2020. And then we had 2021 was a pretty good year. And then inflation kind of took off. And then we had a down year in 22. And if you look in 25, in the first quarter of 25, we had a downturn in the market there. So just think about if you just first, newly retired and that happens. Think about the fear that goes through you. Trust me, it's going to feel like 10x what it would have felt like when you were working. Like, nobody likes to look at their account when it's down. Nobody does. But if you're working, you don't really worry about that. You just kind of move on with it. So your investments play a big role in that. Your tax efficient strategies, how are you going to give? We're going to look for charity, estate planning, all of that stuff is all of what's built into a retirement plan. And our process touches, and I've said this a number of times, it touches on up to 25 different areas of retirement planning.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a very thorough job that we do at the office, to ask you a lot of questions to make sure that we're hitting different touch points to make sure every family is maximizing what they can and can't do.
Chris, do you think Americans are behind when it comes to their savings for retirement?
Well, it's not a matter of what I think, it's what the data says. And the data says that anywhere from 30 to 50% of people are behind on their retirement savings, depending on what article you read or what study you look at.
Yeah.
So Americans in general, I do not like the government telling us what we should do. But I am for auto enrollment into 401ks, and I would be all for us having to save a certain percentage in our 401ks.
Yeah.
That was, I would be okay with a certain percentage being mandated, because I think we live in the moment, and it's really sad, to be honest with you, that we live in this kind of moment where I've got to have it now, and I'm willing to extend on credit to get it. And I got to keep up with the Joneses. And I'm full of transparency. I can be that way. And I think we all can to some degree, right? But as we get older, that tends to, die off a little bit. It's not as important. Yeah. But in your early 20s, when you really should be saving a lot of money because the compounding is really going to help you, that's really the phase of life I feel like the younger generation really gets hurt. Yeah. Because they're comparing themselves to someone on social media. They're comparing themselves to their neighbor that's driving a brand new car, and they're just not there. But they're trying to do everything they can monetarily to get there. And even putting themselves in jeopardy of debt and not saving enough for retirement. So I think a lot of people are behind. And then also, just think about life in general. I have children, they're grown now. Yeah. But it was tough. It was tough growing up. Trying to put them through college. And, I have twin boys that work in the business with us. So I praise God for that. But, when they were growing up, I was buying 2 bikes. I was buying 2 cars and 2 colleges, and
that's a lot.
So life can happen.
And then your little girl came along, and it was all to double everything for her because she was a girl.
That's right. She gets the extra. That's right.
She got a little extra.
Yes, absolutely, she does.
Well, It is tough to save when you're in that time of your life. And I know for my husband and I, we were the same way. And we didn't even, it wasn't until we were in our 50s when we went, oh gosh, we've got to do something.
Yeah.
We have not saved like we should have. Yeah. Now there's other people who do a good job of it because they were smarter. They knew to. But yeah, we're not all in that same place.
We're not. And I don't, you know what? You say smarter. I don't want you to think that about yourself. I don't think you have to look at it through that lens. Life is different for everybody.
Right.
We all go through different seasons. We all go through different phases of life. And sometimes your life just didn't lend you to save as much as maybe your neighbor. And I think that's where it's dangerous having conversations with your neighbor and comparing yourself to your neighbor or your friends at church, because life presents itself in different ways to every one of us.
Yeah.
I'll say personally, I didn't have a money mentor growing up.
Right.
So my parents weren't great with money, and I didn't learn about investing until I was well into my 30s, to be honest with you, to really start digging into investing, learning how the compound interest and saving for retirement becomes really, really important to start doing that. So I think life presents itself in different ways.
I think you're right. Bobby and I are both the youngest too. So that's kind of what fit in for us. But I do want to ask here before we have to take a break is what percentage of people actually have a written plan?
Yeah, it's really low. You want to take a wild guess?
30%.
It's actually 1 in 5.
Whoa. So,
according to LIMRA, 1 in 5 people have a written retirement plan.
Oh my gosh.
Now, to me, that's amazing that you're about to go down this path called retirement. And most of us have never been there, and most of us will only do it once. And you don't have a written plan in place. You don't have your plan verified by some mathematical data other than an Excel spreadsheet. You haven't had your retirement plan looked at in all phases that we do through our right retirement process. To me, it's amazing that some people are willing to chance their life savings and really their family livelihood on just going into retirement and winging it and trying to, research themselves through retirement, because that's what ends up happening. Because nowadays there's so much information available out there today that we're constantly seeking information. I think that's the wonderful part about this show is if you watch it enough times, I am going to tell you a lot of really good things that you should be doing before retirement and at retirement, many of which I'm doing myself. Because for me, from a morality standpoint, I want to make sure that I am doing what I'm telling my clients as I age up into that bracket as well.
Yeah, and I love that. You are passionate about helping others.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. So Cris, why do you feel like having a written plan is so important?
Well, I think having a written plan in place allows you to have confidence in your future, because if you don't have a plan, you are kind of winging it to some degree. Now, I know there's some people out there that have plenty of money. They're not in any jeopardy of running out of money. But even the wealthiest people that I've sat down with before, they have some inefficiencies within their retirement plan where they could be doing things a little bit better. And they're literally wasting dollars in some cases because they just aren't taking the time, or they don't want to pay somebody to work with them.
Right,
and
that's
Luann,
true.
you know, because you and I have known each other a long time.
Yeah.
At home, if there's a big repair, I don't try to YouTube it. I don't try to figure it out. I just hire somebody to come in and do it. That's going to do it right. That way I'm not getting frustrated on a weekend when I'm trying to spend time with my family. I just have somebody else do it during the week while I'm working. So, I think the same thing can be said for working with a financial professional, developing that retirement plan to help you relax and really focus on what matters most, which to most people is their family.
Right,
but
that's true.
if you're sitting there behind the computer trying to research your way through retirement, what to do about Medicare, what to do about Social Security, watching all of these videos and you're not connecting with your spouse, that's a problem. That's a major problem in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely something hard to do, and you don't have to do it alone. You don't.
There's plenty of good help out there. And I always say it like this, if it's us, great. If it's not us, that's okay as well. I mean, we have 5 certified financial planners on staff. That's a lot of CFPs working with individuals and families, making sure that we're making decisions that's in their best interest. Take us up on the offer. If it's not us, then find somebody else to kind of partner up with. But focus your retirement efforts on your family. That's really what's important.
Do you feel like people are more emotional in retirement?
No. Yes. Yes.
No, yes.
Yes. It goes like 10x. I mean, the way that you feel while you're working, there's a lot of security in work. All right. Just think about your job and you're doing and you're getting paid and you get up every day and you same routine and you get the paycheck every other week or however often you're paid. There's security in that. There's security in people telling you you're doing a great job, hey, great teamwork or whatever. But when you go into retirement, it is you and your money. And you're sitting there going, this is all I got. I now don't have a job to reproduce this income. I'm not saving the way that I was saving, because that becomes a very gratifying habit that happens while you're working. It's like, oh, I'm saving a certain amount of money. Well, you're no longer pushing money into that little nest egg. Now you're turning around and gonna have to pull money out of it. And then once you hit that retirement, everything 10x's. Your anxiety 10x's, your risk tolerance, the way that you feel about a market drop 10x's. I mean, it just magnifies, because you're thinking, this is all I got. I can't afford to lose it.
I picture, if I were a cartoon artist or whatever, I picture somebody with just their pile of money, their eyes big, like, oh my gosh, I'm in retirement, I don't want to lose this money. What do I do with it?
Yes, and it's so much so that they'll even be too conservative. So you hear a lot of advisors throw that fear word out. Oh, you can't be too aggressive, and that's true to some degree with some retirees. But then some retirees are like, I can't do anything, and I just don't want to lose it. Well, then you're not outpacing inflation, and you can't sit in a money market account, and be, profitable that way in a lot of cases long term either. Yeah,
you've seen everything when it comes to emotions. Give us some more common financial biases that you've seen on a weekly basis.
Yeah, so loss aversion is one. So placing a lot more, worry about losing money than making the same amount of money. And just statistically, the market is up. Long term, the market is up 74% of the time. And of that 74% of the time, about 60% of the time, it's positive double digits. Yeah. But we think more about the losing aspect in retirement. We do, yeah. And not the data. I keep going back. I always point back to the data. Yes. When I was a former plant manager, I didn't make emotional decisions. I made data-driven decisions for my employees. Yeah. And I think we have to do that as people of our family, whoever's head of the finances in the family. Maybe it's a joint operation, but at the end of the day, it needs to be a data-driven decision. So loss aversion is one. Following the herd is another one. Just hearing something and just doing. Yeah. A lot of crypto stuff out there, and I can't really get into that, but that's just something that's very popular right now. Happens, big time. You just have to be careful of that kind of stuff. And then also overconfidence, thinking you know what's going to happen and just being overconfident. I mentioned on a previous show where I call it the equity tough guy. Yeah. So really aggressive, while you're working, but in retirement, your plan doesn't support you being aggressive, so you're being overconfident in that case. And then here's a good one that I see today, especially with all the research that's out there, is confirmation bias. So you believe something so strongly, like we all have our beliefs, and we all are looking to some degree, all of us, me, everybody, to some degree are looking for confirmation. And so you go out online and you believe a certain thing, and you find it online, and you're like, honey, come check this out. Look, read this right here. That's exactly what I've been talking to you about. So you're just looking for that confirmation bias. Meanwhile, you could be headed down the wrong path, but you believe it so strongly. It's a strong bias. And I don't want to sit here and say that I don't have any biases. I do. I really do. Sure. But I also try to keep those in check, because the biases, if not placed in check, can get you in trouble. Right. Yeah. So true. Now with everything going on in our society, that can happen all the time. Even in politics, you get your viewpoints just from headlines that you hear. Do politics play a role in decision making in retirement? I bet they do. So they do. We have to pay attention to politics, but we can't be heavily invested emotionally in politics, because now what I typically see is if someone's person is in office, and I don't care what side of the fence at the end of the day. I mean, outside of work, I've got my own beliefs just like everybody does, but at work, I have to separate politics from finance. And you've heard me say it before, we have to put on our 401k glasses when we're looking at our 401k, take off our politic glasses. Yes. Because I've seen situations where somebody's so emotionally invested in one party that they're willing to make really bad financial decisions because they believe the country's going off a cliff and the country's just going to heck in a handbasket, as they say. And they'll make these bad emotional decisions. So it's something that I see people, it's a mistake that I see people make that I wish they wouldn't. But that's kind of where we come into play, is we try to soften that up a little bit and say, let's look at the data, and not make a political decision that we don't need to make. Very good. Now, obviously a plan would probably be very important for tax purposes, right? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. Like I said, when you get into retirement, there are efficient ways to pull your money out. There are efficient ways to give. You can tell I used to work in the plant as a plant manager and an engineer. I work with tons of engineers. It's all about efficiency. Like, what can we do that's more efficient? And we do the same thing at the office. We're constantly looking at our process and procedures to make sure that we're efficient. So tax efficiency is important in retirement for sure.
Okay, very good. Thank you again. Cris, what about legacy? How does a retirement plan help here?
So from a legacy standpoint, everybody's viewpoint on legacy is different. You know, I could talk about family A that says we're going to spend every dime and we don't care if anything passes on. We want to basically bounce our last check.
Yes.
When we pass away.
Yeah.
Then you have the family that you've kind of got the split decision. The husband or the wife is wanting to leave a legacy. The other person is like, I don't want to leave a legacy.
Yeah, let's do everything we want to do.
And then you have families that are really, and I have these, they're just really dedicated on making sure as much of their assets are going to pass on as possible, because they're worried about life being harder in the future than it is today. And so they want to make sure that their kids are set up financially. So building out a plan that supports those goals, because that's essentially what that is. It's a goal of the family. So how do we develop that retirement plan to help mom and dad get all the way through their retirement as tax efficiently as possible? And then how do we set those assets up to where they pass on to their heirs as efficiently as possible? In some cases, tax efficiently as well. So I think it helps, and I think that has to be identified. That is one of the questions that I'll ask. We get into the family situation, I'll ask about legacy, how important it is, and things of that nature, just to make sure that we're taking that into account when we're building and designing a retirement plan.
So what you're saying is a written plan is going to help an individual or a family relax, feel more relaxed.
Oh, 100%. I think that it makes a family, if everything's kind of documented, we have a very easy to understand way that we do it at the office. And I won't disclose that because I don't want to teach other advisors what we do, but it makes it very simple for a family. We actually use 2 different retirement planning softwares, believe it or not. We don't just use one, we use 2, because it looks at the retirement from 2 different angles. And I like that as a planner, as a business owner. I want to make sure that if I'm giving Lou Ann the green light to retire, I want to make sure that I'm confident in the numbers that we're presenting. But then there's a lot of data there, right? And some people can't digest all of that data. So what we do is we take it and put it together in a nice, easy to understand format, so that it really gives that family the confidence and really the ability to relax. As you know, our motto that we've trademarked is plan, retire, and play.
Yes.
That's really important. We want families in pre-retirement years that are, say, 50 and older, saving for retirement. We want them to plan. We want you to retire. And then, just like Mama used to say when I was young, I was at home, we were raising Cain in the kitchen or whatever, and she's like, go outside and don't come home until dinner.
Yeah.
That's what we want our retirees to do. When you retire, I want you to go outside.
Go outside and play.
Go outside and play means go to the national parks. That means go to those Europe trips. Go to the beach. Go hang out with the grandkids. But don't be staring at your accounts every single day. We'll tell you in your reviews if there needs to be some adjustments made, but we really want you to go play and enjoy the time with your family. We only have a limited amount of time, which in the grand scheme of things, Lewis, you think about time in general, our life is like a speck.
Yeah, we're a speck on a big, long line.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
We only have a certain amount of time with our loved ones. And I've seen clients pass away that we've been close to. I've had family members pass away. Enjoy the time that you have here with them.
Right, yeah. And I've told you before, my poor brother-in-law, 66 years old, just retired.
Yeah.
And so, time is of the essence, honestly. So make sure that we play in retirement. And I love that that's your motto. I love that.
And that, just to take that a little further, anytime during your life, you need to always tell someone you love them, put your arm around them, friends, family. You don't know when they're going to be gone tomorrow.
Right, that's so true.
Yeah.
Good advice, great advice. So talk about some of the potential benefits of meeting an advisor face to face, okay, compared to searching on social media and going down all these rabbit holes to find information about retirement.
Social media, you mean you can get good financial advice out there? I mean, you can. There's some good people out there. I don't want to say there's not.
But we've done Facebook reels, and talked about that.
Yes. So there are rabbit holes you can go down. Some of them, you have to remember the person presenting the information. First of all, you want to look at their credentials. How are they credentialed? Do they have designations? And really, who are they? Or are they just some random person that has amassed a lot of followers because they know how to do social media really well and make videos and can get them out there? I think there's advantages to sitting down face to face. I'm also not opposed to Zoom. So we have
that's right.
So we have clients that have moved to other states, right? So doing the Zoom is good, but I think it's good from the standpoint of what we talked about earlier, the behavior problems that you have. Because in retirement, I have a bunch of retiree kids in some respects.
That's how you look at it, as your kids.
Yes, kind of. And I don't mean that disrespectfully.
Oh, no, I know.
But some of them will act up and they'll exhibit bad behavior. And so when they come in the office, we have to kind of talk them. Now we don't want to do that, because if we do that, here's why. I mean, I don't give anybody spankings or anything like that.
Good. Like
we
a
don't
principal.
do that.
Okay,
right, we
good.
don't do that. I had that when I was younger, but we don't do that here. But having that relationship to run things past someone is really good, because things get emotional. Money gets emotional, and we want to make these decisions like that. And when we go to make those decisions, sometimes they can be bad. So having that professional there to kind of stand by your side and say, I like it, but if you do that, it's going to cause this problem. Or, hey, I like it, let's go ahead and do that. I'm all for that as well.
Yes. So when you're working with someone or meeting with someone who's done most of the investing and planning all of their life on their own, do you find they have a good handle on retirement planning?
No.
I kind of knew you were going to say that.
Yes, and you think, oh, well, he's an advisor. What's he going to say? That's what a lot of people watching. I have sat down. I'm not kidding you. We have 2 office locations. We have an office in Huntsville, Alabama, which is home to some of the smartest people in the entire country. Per capita, it has one of the largest concentrations of PhDs. I'm not going to tell you that I've sat down with every one of those, but I've sat down with a lot of really smart people.
Yes.
And they've done really, really good saving. But when you go to pull money out, that's a different story. The way that I've seen taxes figured has been incorrect. The way that they're doing charitable giving could be more efficient. The way that they're doing certain things income-wise is a problem. And I think that sometimes, and I can be this way, because again, I'm a former plant manager, engineering manager, sometimes we just think we know everything, and we don't. So I would say that retirement is a different ball game than when you were working. And I think investing and saving money is part of it, but pulling the money out and making sure it's done in a tax efficient way is another part of the conversation.
Last question, don't have a lot of time for the answer though, but why do you feel like it's hard to spreadsheet your way into retirement?
Yeah, which actually just ties right into what I said. It's just hard to spreadsheet taxes. And I've only seen one, and I kid you not, in my entire career, where this spreadsheet was like the tax form. This was amazing. So one, out of all of the hundreds of meetings that I've done throughout my career, I've seen one spreadsheet that could figure the taxes the way this gentleman had it figured up, and he was within a couple bucks, so it was really good. So I just think it's hard to spreadsheet that. It's hard to spreadsheet the emotions.
Yes.
Because some of the spreadsheet says, well, if this happens, I'm going to do this. Well, will you? Because there's the emotional side of it. You can't spreadsheet the emotions. And then also there's the spouse side of it that often is forgotten about in a spreadsheet as well. Because I've never seen a spouse's name on a spreadsheet.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Cris, thank you so much for all of your input today. Always great stuff. Thank you so much. Many people find that retirement is about more than just an account statement. Having a written plan that addresses your income, investments, taxes, and legacy can help reduce emotions and give families clarity. The confidence that comes from knowing you have a plan can make all the difference. For Cris and the team at WG Financial Group, I'm Lou Ann Fulmer. Thank you for watching. Have a great week, and we will see you next time.